Anyway, there were a lot of surprises, and I loved seeing Pat McAfee back on commentary. I actually listened to a lot of it because he was there. That's some energy and some life that we haven't been treated to in a while. But I like the Royal Rumble men's match. They started the show with it. And that's another reason why that the women's Rumble was so hard to stomach, because you've already seen the good one and now you're seeing girls do it. I don't know how much plainer to make it than that. I can go into granular detail on how, do you follow the steak from Morton's with the steak from Ryan's Steakhouse or the fucking Western Sizzler, and they're both great? No, if you're hungry, eat at the Western Sizzler first. You're going to fucking think it's the best one you've ever had. If you eat at Morton's first, then try to eat that Western Sizzler, again, you're chewing on Dalmatian.
The men's Royal Rumble was a classic. It was great. I think the women's Royal Rumble was really good. And again, they had probably the best worker they had. After watching this thing, the best worker they have on that women's roster in there from beginning to end.
Yes, and it had the right winner. It just took a while to get there. All right, let's start with the men's, though. Let's start with the men's. We got Pat McAfee back on commentary. They're kicking the thing off with the hour-plus men's Royal Rumble. Gunther and Sheamus, the first two in the match. Big man, and boom, boom, boom. And then here comes The Miz. And I'm just going to share some of the notes that I jotted down as we go through the people involved in this. For The Miz coming in, I wrote, how the fuck has this guy worked here for 15 years? That's pretty much what I'd say about The Miz. And then here comes Kofi Kingston. And, there's lots of action early, nothing important going on at this point. They're setting the stage. And the fifth guy, number 5, was Johnny Gargano. Did you detect that nobody gave two shits when Johnny Gargano come out?
I did, and I was actually looking to see the reaction, and I had my monitor here pumped up so I could hear the sound really well, which is why that pop at the end of the show was so spectacular. And I don't think anyone cares about Gargano, and he was in there a while. He does flashy moves every now and then, and those will get a reaction, but you call him Johnny Sameface, and I think for some people, because there's a nickname there, you can't take it seriously, but there's a legitimacy to it. And I don't think the general public cares. And he's also smaller than everyone. And it's, in a Royal Rumble, it's really apparent. And he's not Rey Mysterio. So it's not that I'm against smaller guys against everyone. I'll use Rey Mysterio as your favorite example. Again, Gargano's a guy who could run through the moves, but can he get people to care?
The biggest pop he got was when he handed Miz off to Sheamus, for Sheamus to fucking dump him. And so, I don't know, maybe he's just a fluffer. Old Johnny, he's just the fluffer for the star to come and do the actual work. What do you think? Should we start calling him Johnny Fluffer now?
I'm not calling him that.
Well, anyway. So next, number 6, here came Xavier Woods, and the New Day beat up everybody, did some flashy moves, then squared off with each other, and then did some kind of comedy circus trick where they jumped up in each other's arms and one played bongo on the other one's ass. Am I making that up?
No, you're not. And I would say I hate the New Day more than anyone, but Bray Wyatt works for this company, so I can't say that.
They can never be number 1, but they certainly here were number 2. All right, well, after the ass slapping, here came an ass we'd like to see slapped, but nobody slapped that one. Karrion Kross and Scarlett came out. And
You want to slap Karrion Kross's ass?
No, I was talking about the other one. He's accompanied by Scarlett. And he comes in and beats up the New Day and fights with Gunther. And as we mentioned, he gets less interesting every day. But speaking of getting less interesting, number 8 was old Shorty Gable. We're getting a ring full of underneath guys. At that point, I'm thinking maybe they're setting up for a giant to appear, right? They got to have some fodder in there. And the thing is, then Xavier Woods and Gable started amateur wrestling, which both of them have a background in. And as soon as they start doing this, the camera cuts away from the only good thing that Gable has done since they gave him this goofy gimmick. And number 9, here comes Drew McIntyre. And makes comeback on everybody, and a big kick to Karrion Kross, and Kross goes over the top. He was eliminated with a big boot. So, again, I think they've obviously decided, well, this ain't working out.
As someone who's worked behind the scenes, although during a different regime, what should the fans what should a smart fan, or what should any fan who really cares read into someone who comes in, gets very little time, and kind of gets tossed off?
Wait.
I don't mean tossed off or whatever dirty. You are making this show just XXX like raw.
See, right now, if you were in the United Kingdom, there's people laughing at what you just said. He tossed him off, did he?
Like garbage. Tossed off like garbage.
Right now, Karrion Kross is being tossed off by The Office. I'll just say that. No, I mean, they're not, it wasn't a 9-second elimination or whatever, but they're certainly not as enamored of his future potential as it seems they once were. Let's put it that way.
Do you think it would help him get over him and Scarlett would do that thing that Xavier and Kofi did?
Yes. If it had been them, that would have got everybody over. So then number 10 is Pablo Escobar. And I wrote his kind of dragon, needs a pickup. And number 11, Daryl Dawkins of the Street Profits. Lots of action, nothing big. Gunther dumped Woods. Gunther knocked Kofi off the apron onto a chair. And it was like the announcer started saying, well, wait a minute, Kofi's foot hasn't touched yet because he landed on this chair. And, Kofi is the master of not having both feet touch in some acrobatic fashion. And then the next entrance, which I'll get to in a second, started, and they never mentioned it again, and we never saw him again. So apparently he just took that bump, and McAfee or whoever it was picked up on it. It was like, well, his foot didn't touch, but it was supposed to, I guess. I don't know. Did you see this?
I did. I don't know either.
Well, anyway, they didn't have time to flesh it out because number 12 was Brock Lesnar. And here we go. And I figured that they were, as I said, 3 people earlier, they were starting to line up some cannon fodder for a star. And that spot in the Royal Rumble goes back to Pat Patterson, first laying the first ones out. You always try to have Diesel had a moment one year, whatever. So Brock comes in and Germans everybody, and he dumps Escobar, and he dumps Dawkins, and he dumps Gable, and he suplexes Drew and Sheamus and comes face to face with Gunther. And just as they start going at it, Lashley music, he's number 13 or wherever we were at, but the camera cuts from Brock and Gunther for Lashley's entrance, and that entranceway was as long as, goddamn it, that was some small towns. Main Street isn't as long as this entranceway was in the Alamo Dome. So by the time that he got to the ring, all the Gunther and Brock was over with. And Lashley comes in and spears Brock and Drew and Sheamus and slams Gunther. And Brock goes for the F5 and Lashley drops out of it and clotheslines Brock over the top. And he eliminates him. And that got a pop. And also, that's the best use of Brock in the Royal Rumble. He can't be in there doing the spot with all the other normal guys where he sits on his ass in the corner and, acts like he's kind of selling and keeps an eye on what everybody else is doing, or disappears for a while, or gets beat down by some schlub for a minute. You can't do that with Brock Lesnar. It kills him. So he came in, destroyed a bunch of shit, or destroyed a bunch of people, dumped a bunch of people, and then, got a lucky clothesline by Lashley. This is obviously continuing. And then he stays around ringside, tearing the desk up and shoving, manhandling referees. And the next guy coming out's Baron Von Corbin, and he meets him at ringside. Brock does, and gives him an F5 on the floor, and then fucking wanders around and stalks off.
Hits him so hard he falls down.
Yeah, that was perfect for Brock. So then, here comes Rollins. And McAfee at that point, for everyone, he says, for everyone watching on the Peacock, so Pat's a fan, Rollins basically rolls Corbin in on the way by and then fucking dumps him out the other side. So thank you for coming, Baron. And now we're back to the lowered expectations of the, roster, because here comes Otis. And I just, fuck. And in number 17 was supposed to be Rey Mysterio, but apparently now we have heard, and then we alluded to something was screwy in the SmackDown review. He hurt himself in some fashion on SmackDown, and that's why they pulled him out of the Royal Rumble. So his music plays, nobody comes out. And during that time, Seth reverses Lashley and dumps him, which was kind of an unimpressive exit for what he had done or been doing, or his status in the community. But then number 18 plays, and it's Dominic with Rey's mask on. So apparently the presumption is that Dominic attacked Rey in the back, stole his mask, wore it out, and then ripped it up into shreds. Poor Rey. And during the entrance, the unceremonious dumping of Fat Otis, they mostly missed that. And while Dominic is coming out, he's got heat, and these people don't like him. And he's getting into this thing. And there's Seth and Johnny Sameface in the ring doing complicated back and forth spots, and nobody's paying any attention because they're watching Dominic walk to the ring. Then number 19 was Elias. I didn't even know he was still around. And nobody else cared that he was still around either. And he comes in with a guitar, breaks the guitar over Gunther, and then Sheamus and Drew dump Elias. And basically all that did was cut Gunther's back up, because he was bleeding at that point from his back. Elias lasted, 30 seconds or whatever. Anything here trip your trigger yet, Brian?
No.
It's a classic now.
I mean, again, it develops into what I think most people will remember, other than the Lesnar stuff, which was memorable. It all really starts from here on.
It develops.
It's a slow moving.
It's a build. It's a fluid situation. So here comes Finn Balor, number 20, and thank God he dumped Johnny Sameface. And then at number 21, remember we used to get surprises. Well, we got one here, Booker T. Big pop. He looked good as long as he wasn't moving too much. But the people wanted to see him. It's in Texas. It's his home. He made a little comeback. He did the spin-a-rooney. And then Gunther grabbed him and threw him over the top rope and got some heat for it. So that was perfect they got to see Booker do a couple of the kicks that he does, the spin-a-rooney, and then Gunther gets heat for throwing a guy over the top rope that they liked. So that was a nice little spot.
That was nice. I think it was a bad decision years ago to get out of long trunks and go into the short trunks.
Well, thankfully, you're not a fashionista for Booker T's goddamn costuming company. I think he looked just. Are you saying he's got bird legs? Is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying he used to look taller, I think, when he wore long trunks. He doesn't look as tall as he is for whatever reason.
Well, he's older now. He's broke down and can't stand up straight.
No, I mean, I thought this like 10 years ago. I'm just saying it now because I wasn't on a podcast then when he was active.
He's been old and broke down for 10 years now is what you're saying about Booker T.
That's exactly not what I said.
Well, sounded like it to me.
I said he should have worn his Harlem Heat trunks. He looked cooler and he looked taller.
Well, maybe it was cold in the building and he wanted to look warmer.
It was cold in a building in San Antonio? In the Alamo
It's fucking
Dome?
January.
How cold does it get in Texas in January?
It can get cold. Remember, they just had snow and wind chill warnings in Dallas Christmas week.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah, see?
How far is San Antonio from Dallas?
About 275 miles.
Huh. All right.
It can snow. It can get cold in hell.
You calling San Antonio hell?
Number 22, Damian Priest is in there now. So now we got Balor and Dominic and Priest, the Judgment Day. He was spray tan 5 shades darker than I've ever seen him.
The best thing about Judgment Day is it's like a gang where it looks like all the members go to different nightclubs. Like Damian Priest is like ready for the limelight, and Finn Balor is going to go to the China Club. Everyone goes to a different nightclub.
Rhea Ripley going to Plato's Retreat or possibly the Hellfire Club. So then Judgment Day are all working together, beating up everybody. And then number 23, Montez Ford comes in and the announcers, oh, Montez, what a great athlete, and Priest dumps him within a minute. And in number 24, Edge. And this was a pop. This was the boom, the pop so far. Except maybe for Brock. Well, actually, even better than Brock because they knew Brock was going to be there somewhere. But Edge was a surprise. And Judgment Day shits themselves. And Edge comes in and speared all 3 of them and dumped Priest and dumped Balor. They had a great sequence, set up where Edge could do all of that, and it looked natural. And then he had a stare down with Rollins, but Dominic came in and intervened, and Edge went to dump Dominic, and as he was trying to do that, Priest and Balor reached up and jerked Edge out, which we saw the other day in the Royal Rumble 92 with that bitter Hulk Hogan. So anyway, so now we got Edge and Balor and Priest and I forgot who all else, but here comes number 25, Austin Theory. And again, as Theory comes out, Edge and Balor and Priest are still having their fight in the aisle, and Ripley comes out and attacks Edge. And Beth Phoenix appears, which gets a big pop, and spears Ripley, which looks great. But it was all over the top, and Theory's standing back like, you go ahead, and then he goes to the ring. But Theory's entrance was stepped on by all the stuff with Edge and Judgment Day, and then he got in the ring, and they didn't set anything up for him. He didn't come in and make a big impact, or he didn't instead take the opposite route and try to obviously hot dog about I'm going to tank this thing. I'm just going to stay out of the fight and get attention that way. He got in and started. It doesn't look like there's anybody pulling for our boy there. Trying to say, no, wait a minute. When he comes in, something's got to happen to, enhance him. Anyway, number 26, almost joined the Royal Rumble. And he did giant stuff to everybody and laid everybody out. And this, I know it's a natural, I know, but you would almost think that Vince was saying, oh, we got to have strongman and almost in this thing, because this was right down Vince's alley. Number 27 is Brown Strongman, and he squares off with almost. And they're face to face, and everybody else in the match is sitting and watching. And they do a long, sloppy 1-2, and then Brown clotheslines almost over the top rope and almost lands on his feet and leaves, and that's that. I'm not saying, because let's face it, almost is not, he ain't Andre the Giant. So I'm not saying that he should have then done the same thing Brock did, because it's already been done and it would have been wasted on almost, but that's a kind of a hell of a way for the biggest man in the company to get eliminated. Clothesline over top. See you later. And then number 28, Ricochet. So finally, Strongman's tag team partner is in so they can work together. And since that is going to happen, well, naturally, Drew and Sheamus, the Banger brothers, they're going to work together. So they get on top of Brown and start gangbanging him. And while this is all happening and more fighting, Gunther comes up behind Drew and Sheamus and dumps both of them in one of those glommed up pile-up things. So we're getting down to nut cutting time.
And again, everyone's waiting for Cody. We've now gone through almost everyone. You're thinking, wow, this is going to be an interesting move. Cody's either 29 or 30.
But he ain't 29 because there's somebody else that we didn't suspectify. Logan Paul.
Thank God.
Logan Paul is back. Exactly.
He's the best. He really is the best. Sign him, give him whatever he wants.
And what did he hurt?
He tore something off the bone, I think.
He tore his ACL, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right. It was his ACL. And we were told he was going to be gone.
In what show was that? What time period was that?
That was the Saudi Arabia show. That was the last Saudi Arabia show. They did a second one this year, and it couldn't have been September that he tore his ACL. Hold on, let me look it up.
Please do, because, I mean, that's normally 6 months for an athlete to do the things that athletes do.
According to Jake Paul, he did not suffer a torn ACL in the match with Roman Reigns on November 5th. He's doing better than expected, Jake said. They thought it was going to be a torn ACL. It turned out it was just the MCL and meniscus.
Oh.
He's rehabbing it and hoping for the best. And he'll be number 29 in the Royal Rumble. There you go.
Oh, well, he didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. By the way, this is from November 17th, so apparently the news came out that he didn't tear his ACL, and we just didn't see it because it was covered on whatever website this is.
And none of the wrestling sites have covered that. We got a scoop. Anyway, Logan hits the ring, and the people hate him, and all the boys stop to look at him because I think they hate him too. And everybody gloms him and kicks the shit out of him, and then goes back to fighting each other, and Ricochet goes to dump him, but he lands on the apron and comes back over and hits a buckshot lariat on Ricochet. And so I think old Hangnail needs to retire that move because Logan is taking it away from him. And then for doing that, Brown power slams Logan Paul and Ricochet splashes him. And right then is time for number 30. And boom, Cody. And the pyro and the music and the long walk and the game face. And this is what they were waiting for. And he makes a comeback on everybody. And people are feeding him. And he gets a big pop. And then Dominic stops him and tries the three amigos. And after two, Cody stops, turns it around, hits the crossroads, and dumps Dominic and gets a big pop because they're, again, the guy with probably as much pure heat with the people as anybody in the match. Cody gets to dump him. And then it's great for Cody, but old Brown, strongman, powerbombed Cody and stopped him. So now Cody's switching fucking strongman heel. And I guarantee you he's thinking the biggest guy in this match left is going to be the one to stop me. And then at that point, that's where Ricochet and Logan Paul ended up on opposite aprons of the ring, looking at each other through the ring, standing there holding the top rope, and suddenly they both did springboards and came off the top toward the middle and clotheslined each other in midair and took the bump. That was
incredible. That's a big ring. That was incredible.
It's a 20-foot ring. So they met in the middle. They not only leaped up to the top rope and then leaped off from that, but then met in 10 feet in the air, 10 feet toward each other, and took the bump perfect. And I can believe Ricochet because he's very acrobatic. But Logan Paul's, was this his fourth match? So that was a highlight.
There's nothing we've seen from him that hasn't been impressive in the ring. He has shown he could do little things, big things. He could leap. He's got strength. He's got size that doesn't look unnatural. Whether it is or not, who knows? But geez, every time we see this guy, just make him a heel and run with it. Find a way to make it enticing to him. You're trying to hotshot? Get this guy on your show every week.
I love him. He's the most obnoxious, dislikable person that is also a great performer that they've come. He's naturally dislikable. Anyway.
I didn't realize you didn't like him.
Well, no, I mean, for the fans, he's a heel. He's a heel, and he can work. Anyway, then Cody dumps Brown, and Theory dumps Ricochet, and we're down to Cody and Theory and Seth and Gunther, not Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
And let me stop you right here, because it hit me watching this, and we'll talk about the other person there, but taking Rollins out of the equation, and I'm not taking anything away from him in terms of talent, but I've been sick of him for so long, and he does the whiny promos, and there's only so much Seth Rollins I could take. When I saw Theory and Gunther and Cody, when I saw those three in there, and then, you could throw Logan Paul in, he was just there. What an amazing Final Four in terms of looking forward to what WWE could be in the next year or 2 years. Theory, Gunther, and Cody, just those three alone, who knows how many dates you'll get on Logan Paul. Mixing those three into the top, that's exciting for me as a fan, to think about those guys being at that level.
Yes, not only somebody different, but also somebody that we actually want to see involved in the mid. It'll be good. We've got anticipation.
But Theory in that mix too, I'm saying, even though the way they've been using him.
Yes. I mean, that's why I wish they'd use him better, because he's going to have to be in their mix because he's the youngest one. Anyway, so Seth curb stomps Theory, who took a great bump for it. He fucking went down, then popped up and staggered drunk-legged and right in the perfect position for Cody to clothesline him over the top. So again, at least it was top guys and two of them that teamed up to eliminate him. And then Seth and Cody team up on Gunther and lay him out and then start fighting each other. And it's back and forth, but suddenly we forgot about Logan Paul. I don't know where he actually went, to be honest with you. But he returns from the dead and dumps Seth over the top rope and then points at the WrestleMania sign, and the people hate him. And Cody hits the crossroads and tosses him over the top rope. So again, Cody, he's either being stopped by the biggest, or he's eliminating the people with a lot of heat, or this was very well done. And then we're down to Cody and Gunther, and then they had a fucking match, which was a little bit of a match, which was refreshing.
No, they went a while. This was good.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying, I mean, they didn't have like a 20-minute match from there, but they went a while, which, I liked seeing, because now we haven't seen Cody in so long, and we haven't seen Cody against Gunther, and he chopped the shit out of Cody, and Cody it was old time wrestling. So this part I was loving. And Gunther beats Cody up, and Cody's selling his ass off. Cody's chest is just beat up and hamburger. And Cody fires the comeback, and he hits the Cody cutter, and he hit Shattered Dreams, not quite like Dustin used to, but it was a tribute. And then Gunther finally was able to take back over and hit a power bomb and throw Cody over the top, but Cody hung on. And they traded some chops, and Cody came off the top, but Gunther chopped him and went for a power slam, and Cody dropped behind and hit the crossroads, boom, and eliminated Gunther. And a big pop, and the music, and the pyro. And the stadium looked great with the wide shots and all the lighting and the blah, blah, blah. And that's what, again, I think... Did we say this earlier in the program? Our show has been as long as one of the AEW pay-per-views already. Even though they expected Cody to win, sometimes in wrestling, you need to give the people what they expect they're going to see. If they want to see it, if they expect that they want to see something they don't want to see, but they're expecting to see it, maybe not. But because I know some people were saying, it's going to backfire. If Sammy's in the Rumble, well, he wasn't. And if somebody else wins and they don't want it, whatever, no. sometimes you need to do what the plan is, because that's why it was your plan to begin with. It made sense from the start. So, yes, so I do applaud the finish. I applaud Gunther. I applaud Cody. And I applaud a few of the other bright spots that we mentioned that were in there. And it was a good Rumble, but unfortunately, it also at some point shows the lack of depth in their current talent roster, or they've got plenty of guys. They don't have a lot of stars. Your thoughts, Brian Last?
I don't disagree with you. And, when you have tag teams that are just broken up and sent out there and neither one of the guys really matter, you kind of know neither one is going to win the Royal Rumble. You can't have everyone be a star, but they're getting Cody back. This is night one. He's instantly one of the top guys, just based on the fact he won the Rumble and he gets the title match at WrestleMania. Boy, Gunther's set up perfectly for a run with Cody after Mania, just based on them being the final two in here. You could have a lot of fun with that for a while.
Yeah. And the way that Gunther can work and the way that Cody knows not only how to work but how to sell, that could be great matches. Go ahead.
Logan Paul, again, we don't know how many dates they have on him and how much they're going to use him. But two things were set up naturally here. I mean, him and Ricochet may not be a big money match, but it could be a big spectacle that people want to see after this. And him and Rollins was set up, and I could see that being a Mania match very easily. And Theory looks really good. So, I mean, you have some guys that are starting to get elevated, and you got to think Braun Breaker's going to show up this year because they can't keep him down forever. It's been a while since we first started saying, when's he coming up?
Yeah.
Which was right after he debuted.
Well, but I said I didn't want him to rush him either, because he is going to be the WWE champion in 3 years or whatever.
And usually they bring up a lot of these guys Mania time, right after Mania, right before Mania, or they debut at Mania, but right around that time. So let's say you get him in the next few months. Let's say you don't treat Theory like a jerk-off and you treat him seriously. You have Gunther if you don't mess him up with the booking. You have Cody. And Cody's stuff has been really good in WWE. And I've always been critical of the bad Cody stuff. You have Roman for who knows how much longer, but he's mixed in with everything else happening there, which is another top flight thing that's really good. All of a sudden you have a lot of really interesting, compelling new guys at the top, and that's not to say they don't get anyone else and they put them there. If CM Punk ever becomes a free agent and he somehow ended up back in WWE, that'd be another name here at the top. If another AEW star leaves and goes to WWE. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this happens every now and then. WWE has a pay-per-view and I come out of it optimistic. But I felt a lot of optimism about the future of WWE. I'm going to say that I'm going to hate Raw or something. I felt a lot of optimism about WWE coming out of this pay-per-view event.
Optimistic. But don't worry, they will dash those hopes on the rocks of booking.
There are still some other things to get to on this show that may change my thought.